Hello, and welcome to another episode of Medusa's Kitchen. I'm your host, Chef Greg. Today we're taking another recipe from the menu at Medusa, and we're doing a bunch of recipes actually today. We're going to do 4 different little semi-tiny recipes that all fit into one appetizer at the restaurant, which was Italian peppers and Italian sausage with grilled polenta, and we used to do that on the wood-burning grill, but it's in the middle of February here in Wisconsin, and so I'm going to show you how to do it inside, and then when we get to nice weather here, we'll do another show with how we did it all grilled. But it can be done inside. It's still a delicious dish. Some people actually prefer it done inside because some people don't like the grill or the char, which is sometimes hard to believe, but we've all had bad experiences with food, and maybe it got too charred and somebody just didn't care for that bitterness. Whatever, we're showing you the indoor version today. Right now I've got some water boiling. Actually, I'm trying to get it to a boil, but it's close. I'm starting to see some bubbles, and what I want to do is get the peppers that I'm roasting for this dish in the oven right now so I can do everything while that's working. I've always, in the business, wanted to make sure we always had 3 or 4 things going at once, and it just works efficient and it all kind of times together and works in harmony, so everything just comes up at the same time. So here we go. I'm going to cut up my peppers. I cut them in half, put my scraps in my compost bucket, and I like to cut them in large bite-sized pieces. Again, I pull the core and the seeds out like so. I really dislike it when people cut the top of a pepper off and throw that away. As a chef, we were always taught to respect food, Oh, my microphone fell off. Let me fix that. I apologize about the delay. Okay, there we go. Anyways, we're taught to respect food, appreciate from where it came from. It was sacred. And, sometimes we forget about what process the food takes to get to us, from seed to farmer, tending. Oh, one of the things that always bothered me in the restaurant was when the salad station would cut peppers up without checking for the label. So before you cut your peppers, you always want to clean them up first. And I did that on purpose. I wanted to show you that on the last pepper that, you always check, you always look. It's kind of like when you lock the restaurant up at night, you check the door twice, The last thing you want is someone getting a sticker on their lemon or their piece of pepper in their salad or their Italian sausage. Not only is it embarrassing and you lose a customer for life, and it shows that you really don't pay attention to what you're doing, but it's kind of gross. I'm not gonna lie. All right. Also with these peppers, which I'm going to just throw in the pan right now, is I'm going to add some red onion. I cut the ends off, peel the skin. I don't take 2 or 3 layers off. There's a side here that's, really not desirable. Onions, 1/4 inch slice. Sprinkle those in. Extra virgin olive oil. I'm guessing by the count, that's about 2.5 tablespoons. I've got a tablespoon of seasoning, salt mix that I make. It's and you can make your own, or you could just use salt and pepper with oregano and Italian seasonings, rosemary, basil. But if you want to make your own seasoning, it's basically you do salt and pepper as your base. and then you add the things that you like to it. And mine, I've added oregano and paprika and a little bit of celery salt, and there's some garlic powder in there, and I've got 3 or 4 other little ingredients that I touch. I put a touch of cumin in mine. So you can do whatever makes it good for you. My water's come to a boil. Looks like my level got just a little bit low there from talking, so I'm going to add a tablespoon or so. No big deal. Part of this show is how to fix your mistakes as they happen, because that's real life, right? But because my my polenta water is close, I'm just going to put half a tablespoon of butter. I've always grown up with a butter dish on the table, so it's really nice and soft. I'm going to get these vegetables tossed right away. I'm going to wash my hands off and some soapy water that I have here. I have a 425 oven, convection with the fan on, and we're going to get these in there. Now those are off and running. We've got the water with a little butter, pinch of salt, a little bit of fresh cracked pepper. You know how I feel about that. Every time you need to use herbs or spices, you should do them, and you should do them fresh. We're looking at a 1/4 teaspoon. I use my wine pourer to pull that out of there. So we got butter, salt, pepper, water, and then I'm using an instant polenta today. If you're using normal polenta, just follow the directions on the box. It's typically 4 to 1, 4 cups of water, 1 cup of polenta, and it takes 10 to 12 minutes to cook. I'm using the instant brand, which is easy and delicious, foolproof. So here we are. But if you're a purist and you want to make from scratch, I certainly commend you. So water is simmering. I've got my seasonings and so forth. I add the polenta slowly because you don't want any lumps, because it starts to come together pretty quickly. While it's still kind of like loose pancake batter, I want to throw some of my, I'll turn the heat down so it doesn't spatter on you. I put about 1.5 tablespoons of nice fresh Parmesan Reggiano that I always have on hand in my kitchen. And see how quickly that comes together? I have a little mini bread loaf pan here. This works great. And I can do my little individual portions. I've already olive oiled the pan. And you have that ready ahead of time. So you make your little pre-formed fatties, and I know some of you out there are saying to yourself, well, that would look cool in a different form. Absolutely. Use whatever you like, whatever you're feeling at that moment. That's what's so fun about cooking. It's just, there really isn't a wrong or a right way. Some ways are different than others. Everybody has different tastes. All right, we're going to get that in the refrigerator. And we're going to start our pomodoro sauce, which is the sauce that's going to go with this. It's going to be as the bed of the dish. we'll put down the pomodoro sauce, and then we'll have the peppers and the sausage, and we'll finish it off with the sauteed polenta. But pomodoro sauce is one of the basic Italian sauces. This is a sauce that you start something with. For instance, if you're making a meat sauce for a lasagna, one way of making that meat sauce is you saute up your Italian sausage, you add a little of pomodoro sauce, you cook it down. It's a nice thick ragu type of consistency, and you let that cool off, or you let it at least cool down a little bit, and you use that and you make your lasagna. Pomodoro sauce is one of those basic sauces. You can do marinara sauce, you can make it into a tomato soup. It's just a basic, easy, simple tomato sauce. So this is also the same sauce I use to make the shrimp diavola at the restaurant. We would saute the shrimp and garlic, and we'll do a show on that, but saute the shrimp and the garlic and the shallots with olive oil, and then we hit it with just a touch of white wine to back that pan off from being so hot, and then we'd add pomodoro sauce, which was already warmed, so the dish is continually being finished, and we'd hit it with fresh herbs and unsalted cold butter to kind of bring the sauce together, smooth out that acidity, and and then we would have the crushed red chilies in it for the spice level, from mild, medium, or spicy. So this sauce can be used for a lot of things. You can poach your eggs in it in the morning and do those eggs Spanish style. So I mean, just endless possibilities with this simple, basic, easy tomato sauce I'm going to show you today. So we got olive oil heating up, and it's only got a few ingredients. It's got onions. You could use shallots if you wanted. We're going to be pureeing the sauce, so you don't have to worry about uniformity. Just you want to get it in small enough pieces to where it'll cook quickly, because it's not a sauce that you need to reduce. You basically, you cook your vegetables. You hear that? That's what you're looking for, a sizzle. You know that you got your stuff cooking. I peeled some fresh garlic just to keep up with my time, and you don't want a lot of garlic in this, but you want just a touch. When you have to remember, when you're making your other dishes, and this is just a base sauce, you want your base sauce to be neutral, but you still want it to have mild levels of flavor. Okay, we're just going to put a quarter teaspoon of salt in this. Again, when you use this sauce, you're going to be seasoning it as you use it, but you still want it to have, you don't want it to be flat. You just want it to be subtle, quiet. Also, in my pomodoro sauce, which I learned from my roommate at chef school, Sander, is a touch of fennel. He said he had seen that in a southern recipe, and that was another thing that I've always liked and used. So, we don't want to get any color on these onions. We just want to sweat them up here. We just want them to get soft, because when we add the tomatoes and the water, if we add, or if we're adding stock to it, in this case I'm adding water because I like to leave it vegetarian so I can use it for vegetarian dishes. We're going to add, these onions are looking almost there. In fact, they are. Now, I always use San Marzano style tomatoes from Italy. I really like their flavor. It's pretty much the tomato that I grew up learning how to use from a young age. It's a tomato with a great taste. I'm not going to say that it's the best tomato to use, but it's the one I like to use. And I just want to make that clear to everybody out there that, cooking shows and lessons are what we like to use. It doesn't mean that what you use is wrong or better or worse. It's just I like the flavor of San Marzano tomatoes, and always have used them and always have enjoyed the results with them. I've had also some really great California tomatoes, but that seems like a seasonal thing. For some reason, they're a lot better when they're packed in the winter. So, the pomodoro sauce we're going to let simmer maybe 5 minutes. So, we're going to leave the heat on high. We're going to make sure. Now, I added a half a can of water. Usually it's equal amounts of water and tomato when I make the pomodoro, but I like to start out with a half and see where I'm at, because once the tomatoes get hot, it seems to get a little bit looser. So I'm going to wait to add that other half a can at this moment. So while we're waiting for that, we now, we've got our polenta made, we've got our peppers roasting in the oven, we've got our pomodoro cooking. Now you make the Italian sausage. So I have my Italian sausage in my refrigerator with the platter that I'm going to put the Italian sausage on, because we're working with meat, and we want to keep it cold and cool. So what I have here is 2 pounds of fresh ground pork, and my recipe for Italian sausage is the one that I've used for years. I've also, I've used my sausage in other applications. So you have to remember when you're cooking how you season your food. If you're, if you're pairing 2 or 3 things together, you want to make sure everything is seasoned, but you don't want to overdo something. So, I like to season lightly my food because I'm usually serving it with 2 or 3 other things. So. If you like your Italian sausage with a little bit more salt, you can always sprinkle it on afterwards. So for 2 pounds of ground pork, just a shade under a tablespoon of salt. I like mine medium, but if you like it mild, don't add crushed red chili. If you like it spicy, then I would say up to half a tablespoon to a tablespoon. I'm using a 1/4 tablespoon. And a little bit of black pepper. And also fennel seed is a half a teaspoon. And I'm going to put that fennel seed right in with my pepper and grind that up partially, like 3/4. I like to break those seeds from the fennel to release all their goodness. You see that? The seeds are broken and they're still kind of in shards, but now, if you don't have a mortar and pestle, you don't need to get the big 55-pound single piece of granite from Italy like I did. But I'm telling you, it's worth it. If you do a lot of cooking, even if you get a smaller one, that'll fit 4 cups. But, it'll encourage you to use it all the time. And trust me, once you start using it, you can't live without it. I'm here to tell you. So we got salt. We got pepper, we got fennel, we got red chilies, and we have one more thing to get. I like to keep my my fresh herbs in an old salad container because it has the holes, but it really works so well. I mean, these have been in the cooler for a couple days, and they're still moist, and you know how it is when you put herbs in the refrigerator and you leave them in the grocery bag, and they turn quickly. But in these little containers like this, I gotta thank my daughter Siggy for that one. She's hardcore vegan, and she eats a lot of fresh herbs with her salads and so forth, and she was using that, and I was just like, that's brilliant. And that's another fun thing about cooking is you just never know where you're gonna get the next idea. All right, I've got a half a bunch of Italian parsley here. And and when you're scraping your knife on the board, don't scrape your knife on the board like that. I didn't do that just now. I'm using the back of the knife, but don't do that. It's your knife doesn't like that. If your knife could talk, it would say, "Hey, stop that." All right, so I've got my seasonings. Pomodoro just came to a boil. We're going to knock it down to a nice, steady simmer. I'm liking the texture it's at right now, but I want to work quickly and get this sausage mixed so I can put it on the platter while it's still cold. What we always did in the restaurant, which I don't want to forget to show all of you today, is, and most chefs out there who are watching will agree with me, is we fry a little patty of it first to check for seasoning. It's like, as a chef, if you're going to go and not put salt and peppers on the table, you better darn well be sure that your food is seasoned and delicious. The Italian sausage, you want to make sure it's mixed. Over mixing is not a bad thing. Actually, it's, if you want it to stick together really nice, overmixing gyros meat is a good thing because you want it to be spongy and hold together. And Italian sausage, I don't know, not so much for me. So you take a little piece. I know that this recipe is delicious, but I still test it anyways because you never know. It only happened once in my career, but in chef school someone had poured sugar into the big salt container bin by accident, and thankfully, the chef caught it because he always tasted the food. And it was like you always learn these little lessons. So, I'm frying a little patty just to make sure it's good, which I'm almost certain it's gonna be. I'm gonna leave that on the big burner as I get ready to. Oh, another thing, on those roasted peppers, I like to cut the top off of a garlic bulb and stick it in there as well. So I'm going to pop that in there with the peppers right away. Actually, we'll give that a little color before we do, since we're behind on that. Again, this is how you, I'm not only teaching you how to do this, but how to improvise when things always pop up, because they usually do when you're cooking. You get sidetracked. All right, we're going to give that pomodoro a quick blend, and then we'll get our sausage made and on that cold platter. Love these hand immersion blenders. They really come in handy. At the restaurant, I used to strain this pomodoro sauce. This is a sauce that you can make and you can have in your cooler all the time. You're always using some sort of tomato product, and stocks, dips, so many uses. All right. Looks like we're getting a little color on that garlic bulb. No? Nice. Beautiful. We'll turn that off. We got the tomato going. perfectly seasoned. We got a green light. You got a large saute pan. I'm going to let it heat up first, because that's how you do it. You let the pan heat up first before you oil it. It takes less time to heat up. And you know how hot your pan is as well. And if it's too hot, it'll smoke. You just pull it off the heat. Now, because I've done this so much, I know that a 3-ounce patty is about the size of a large golf ball for me. So I do these, and I get it all portioned out first. It was really delicious. You can use this sausage for on top of pizza, or making little pizza bites. You know, if you were making a small type of, you could use this filling for pot stickers, and, you know, use soy and ginger instead of salt, and add a little bit of sugar, you know, a touch of sesame oil, and, you know, I mean, this is just a ground meat. You know, we're going to be doing keftedes, which is the pan-fried Greek meatball, in an episode coming up soon, and, you know, so many different ways. That's what's so great about cooking, isn't it? All right. This looks, let me get this off. I don't want to get everything going here in the kitchen. There's my oil. And I'm going to do 3 or 4 of these. You know, 3 ounces is a good size for an appetizer. You know, 2 people can share this. You know, you want to make it a dinner, then serve 2 per person. You know, you can take this sausage recipe and just break it up in here and start a chili with it, or a lasagna sauce, or you can use the cooked sausage crumbles for quick fix, quesadillas, tacos. So many ideas. Pizza bread, you know, French bread, tomato sauce like pomodoro, some crumbled Italian sausage, some mozzarella cheese in the oven. You know, there's so many things that you can use this for. So I'm going to put this in the cooler. I made some polenta earlier because I know the little ones we made are setting. We're going to take a little bit longer. But, you know, we take this polenta when it's cold and we slice it. You can put it, again, in any shape pan or whatever you'd like. Maybe just a touch of salt. Got a little bit of that Italian sausage seasoning left. I'll put it on there. Looks like the sausage is doing really nice. The sauce is doing really nice. We'll give that a stir. Now, like I said, in the restaurant, we used to strain this tomato sauce and just make it smooth and fine. And that, you know, that's just how you do things in the restaurant. You kick it up a little bit. And I know my friend is going to give me a hard time for saying that, but all right. sausages. You know, this is a really great way to eat sausage. You know, I mean, outdoors on the grill is definitely a different thing and delicious, but you know, pan searing, you know, I really have to be honest, if I'm eating a cheeseburger, I'd rather have it pan seared than off of the charcoal grill outside. Not saying that I don't like it that way, but I would prefer it that way. So we're going to get our pan hot, ready for frying the polenta. And you could do it in the same pan as the sausage, but I'd like to keep everything in a timely fashion going here, so I'm going to heat up another pan. These are our peppers. Those look nice. It's just starting to brown up a touch. I'm going to let those go a little bit longer. Love these gloves for the oven. This makes so much sense. And you know what's nice about sausage is you can do this immediately after you're done making the mix, and because there's so much fat in ground pork, they stay moist, so they're microwavable friendly, or heat them up in a pan slowly friendly. Alright, I got my pan there on high. Now for the polenta, I'm going to use avocado oil, and it just, you know, has a little bit more of a higher smoking point than olive oil, and because I want to get my oil hot for this. And also with the polenta, I found that just giving it a really light dusting of flour and making sure you get that excess off. I mean, when you put it on the cutting board, you want to kind of like throw it down. Just that kind of taps it off. All right, sausage looks good. We're going to set that in this other pan that we had cooked the little piece of taster sausage in. We'll get the polenta in the front and center position. All right. I want to check to make sure my oil is hot. Let me just flick a bead or two of water in the oil, not a handful. Also, I should get my immersion blender cleaned up and unplugged before that dries on, because they're really a pain in the butt to clean if you just let them sit around like that. I hear, see, and it was just because of the residual, I mean, don't do it like this, you know, from the side, and see how just a couple, that's what we're looking for. If you're worried about setting in there and burning yourself, set them in with the tongs. And then let them cook. Don't play around with them. You know, it's already cooked. All we're doing is putting some color on it. Now we're going to start putting together our platter, I believe. So, I'll put this here so you can all see it. And maybe you can see this better. How's that? Okay. Yeah, I'm working on getting a second camera angle, so just bear with me, you know. We're at the beginning of this thing, so just hang in there. We'll revise it and get better as we go. Okay, there's our pomodoro sauce. There's our little garlic, roasted garlic. There's our peppers and onions. You know, look at the color and set that here. Italian sausage, and we don't want to cover up all that beauty, so we just stagger them in here. We give our polenta a turn, and we've created a really crispy crust. This is where we would call the server in the restaurant and say, hey, 30 seconds. We're just waiting for touch-up right now. You know, and the server would come into the kitchen and ask if it was a chef's choice. Okay, what we got here, boss man? And I'd let them know. I've got 4 different peppers here, sweet peppers. Got the Italian sausage. I roasted some garlic. And I pan-fried cheese, Parmesan cheese, polenta. You know, it doesn't look like it, but there's a crust on that. So, you know, for a little color, I hit it with my seasoning and a little bit of spicy Hungarian paprika, and it just brings that a little bit of pop. And that's your Italian sausage with roasted peppers, garlic, and pan-fried Parmesan polenta. I hope you enjoy this recipe. I hope that you use all 4 recipes.